Hi, this is Dan Tortora of Wake Up Call, here with you for our very special segment that we do with Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay called The Light Between Us. And Julia Getman is my guest here today, and I'm very excited to tell her story about her faith and what brought her to Chick-fil-A, as well as what keeps you here and keeps you trying to help the community in such a unique way, which I think Chick-fil-A really does demonstrate. So I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you. It's very nice.
So Julia, first and foremost, where did your connection to God start?
Oh, okay. So I was born and raised in Brazil,
Okay.
and I was able to legally immigrate to the United States. Actually, settled in Los Angeles, California, when I was about 10 years old. So I'm pretty Americanized. I'm now a naturalized, citizen. And so in Brazil, the more popular, or what I was more exposed to, was the occult. So it was the popular religions there that are like New Age, like some people might not know what it is, but like Macumba, things like that. So that's like what was normal. And it wasn't until my surprise pregnancy, like about almost 9 years ago, that I got connected to a Christian church and like really heard the gospel and fully gave my life to Jesus.
So going through kind of everything you went through in Brazil, and like you said, a surprise pregnancy, and then taking that opportunity there to open yourself up. So you had a road that was unique, and I think everybody's road is unique to find God. When you opened up to Jesus and like the Holy Spirit and God and all of that, did it feel like an immediate kind of pull to your soul, or did it take time?
I think as I look back, there were like several moments in my life that I was like safe from things, or something was I think that he was after me for a very long time. But my experience with Jesus and when I gave my life to him, it just felt more of definitely a supernatural confirmation. It was definitely special.
And growing up in Brazil, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of people from Brazil when I worked at Walt Disney World. So I know a little bit of Portuguese, but okay. I can say that I mean, learning Spanish, numbers are very similar. Mm-hmm. And then I learned random words that I said, I was like, teach me a word that's going to sound like something that it's not. And so they taught me geladeira.
Yeah.
And I said, if you have like a candle and you put it on a very romantic night and you just look at someone and you say, geladeira, it sounds like I love you. But what it is refrigerator.
That's right.
And then bochecha is cheek.
Yes.
And
I'm
then
pretty impressed.
And what is it? Ceviche is ice cream.
Yeah.
So they taught me a bunch of things working at Disney and how to count money back to people and all that. So have you kept it up, and are you still like bilingual? And
I am, but it's like riding a bike, So now I think in English, and like when I speak Portuguese, I feel like I do the opposite. I translate back in my head. I don't have that many people to practice with. My extended family is all still in Brazil, and it's just not a common language, especially in Central New York. But I really should get better about like teaching my little one Portuguese. I haven't really done a good job with that yet, but I definitely don't want to lose it. And for those that are not familiar with Portuguese, it's like a mixture between like Italian and Spanish.
Yeah. And it's I mean, and those are both, beautiful languages, and so in and of itself, Portuguese is a beautiful language too. And so, having your story and having this road that has been so unique to get to where you are, looking at Brazil, and forgive me for not knowing the name of it, but there's that beautiful mountain where there's, so
that's near where I live.
Okay.
Rio de Janeiro.
Yes. And so bring us into that, because there's a tribute to Jesus right there.
Yeah, for sure.
And so what can you say about it, and what's it like to actually see it up close?
It's fantastic. I mean, if you're going to go to Brazil, you've got to go see that. I think that the country I'm optimistic about that the country's going to get back to Jesus. There's that call, and it definitely was. I mean, that statue was there for a reason, but I think that like many people's stories, not so uncommon that if you don't work on that relationship with Jesus, you can stray away. It used to be more known as almost a Catholic country, and then it went this other way.
And so for you to see your country, go a little bit away, and you said you felt like Jesus was always bringing you to Him.
Yeah.
So how, when someone goes away or isn't as connected, how do you come back? What would be your advice to somebody that maybe feels like they've lost their faith or they're not as close to God as they used to be?
That's a really deep question, because I think that I think unfortunately the devil does a lot of things that he does, and then the blame gets put on God. Like, I don't feel that God ever means for to put a sickness on someone, and especially for that thought of like, I'm going to teach them something or something like that. And so I think that when you don't work on your relationship, just like the same as with your natural relationships with other people, it's easy to be deceived little by little by lies. Well, maybe God meant to do this, and then maybe I got into this accident for a reason. It's like, no, when you have that relationship, when you daily with Him, and you study His character, which is in His Word, and He's not a man that He should lie, then you can go, wait a minute, His character does not match this thought that I've just had in my mind. But it's just, we're in a battle, and we're constantly assaulted every day. So if you're not doing that work each day, it's easy to slowly come away from Him and accept all these lies about Him that is not in His character. So I would say, there are a lot of people that are hurting. So I would just say that talk to somebody who's strong in the faith, read the Bible, stay connected, and that's one of the ways that will get you from Him.
And you find your way to Chick-fil-A here in our community, at Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road, where we are right now. I mean, Chick-fil-A is synonymous with faith, so I don't know if I can ask the question, what brought you here, but tell me the story of how it all came together.
I was working for a local government, and just doing like what every parent does, like kind of vacillating between wanting to be a stay-at-home parent to working and spending a lot of money on, childcare and everything like that. And, if anybody's a parent out there, that the first few years kind of like flies by, right? And you just can't get that time back. And I was finding myself in a routine working in a job that I could do, but it was not my passion. And then spending a lot of money on daycare, and Monday through Friday, I just felt like somebody else was spending the bulk of my time with my child. And I was then picking her up, getting dinner ready quickly, and then just pretty much getting her to bed, and just that quality time. So I was constantly vacillating. So my husband goes, why don't you just try to find something that's either remote or you work from home while she's like, in school a little bit. And I was looking at all kinds of places and just wasn't finding it, which was really surprising in our day and age.
Yeah.
And I wasn't familiar with the Chick-fil-A brand, but it was like one of the last places I applied for it. And then I got a call for an interview, and honestly did not think I was going to get the job, because my idea was, well, I've done something like this when I was 16, we'll probably hire kids. But then I went to a prayer meeting, and someone in the prayer meeting found out that I was having an interview with Jimmer. And they're like, he's got a really deep story, let me tell you about him. So I kind of found out about him, and I was really surprised about his story. And got me really intrigued. And then the next day I met with him, and I just thought I was kind of going to go through the motions or something like that and not get the job. But then he offered me the job, and like on the spot I was like, yes. And I liked that they had a lot of flexibility. So I was perfectly happy with the job that they offered me. It's exactly what I wanted. Just be a order taker during lunch hour. They knew I wanted to be out by a certain time, spend time with family, and I could tell from like his personal values as well that family is really important. So it just fit. A lot of places, I could tell that they appreciate family values. So that's how I first started here.
And there's beauty in that. And that's, as we do this segment, The Light Between Us, through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, with Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, and our special guest today being Julia Getman, that, there's a business that actually cares, like you said, that you spend time with your child, that there's businesses out there that I've worked with that didn't care if I was typing on a computer in the middle of a restaurant while I was trying to eat dinner with my mom and my grandmother. There are businesses that don't care if you're working at Christmas. And then there's a business like this, and I think there's juxtaposition, and people think, well, you have to be like that rude, crass, you don't believe in God, just work, work, work if you want to make a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
But then Chick-fil-A is an extremely successful business in the community and monetarily, and they do the opposite. They want you to take care of your family. They want you to build those relationships. They want you to go home and have a normal dinner and talk to each other. So
they want you to be off on Sundays.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And I think that's such a beautiful thing, that there's this belief that you either work really hard or you have time with your family, where Chick-fil-A is saying, no, we can be successful and still allow you to be a human being.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to go into that a little bit deeper, how you see this company succeed, while at the same time the priorities of Chick-fil-A and the priorities of Jim Orzechowski are vastly different than a lot of other operators, owners, CEOs, whatnot that you can say out there.
That's definitely true. So, they just to progress a little bit about like how I got to even like what I'm doing right now. So Jimmer's was initially the one that was doing the work that I fell into later.
Yeah.
As we both got to know each other, we could see like our values really matched, and I was really impressed with just a bunch of different things. Just to lead into your question, like as a team member, you're totally empowered to do whatever it takes to make somebody's day, to be intentional and accountable. You do not have to get permission from a manager. You don't have to go through a certain process. If I was noticing that somebody, like maybe I just noticed that they had like, abandoned hotel, they just got some kind of like blood drawn or something like that, I am fully authorized to go and grab a cookie and give to that person and bless them. What company does that? Usually there's like a whole thing, or manager's got to prove. No, at the team member, they encourage you, like, you do whatever you see fit. So I just felt like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, But, we also steward it in the proper way. We account for that, cookie on the other end, to be good stewards, because that's another one of our values. But I never had to get permission. I was encouraged to. So I just felt like that was just really, really opened my eyes. And so, and Becky was doing more of like the accounting, administrative work, and that's really what my background was. And so when she got ready to retire, it just seemed like to fit like for me. But then again, I went back to that question with Jimmer initially. Okay, I've been really, really happy as a part-timer here. Like this is awesome for me right now for this period. Like I'd love to take that position, but again, my family, I have a little daughter. Most restaurants you have to work, 60 hours or something like that if you get into those positions. I can't do that at this point in my life. And me again, it was again back to that value. It's like, no, family is really, really important. We will make it work. You have the responsibilities. If you make it work around your schedule and you get it done, you do not have to be here for 60 hours. You do not have to be here for I'm never going to dock you if you, hey, you got to pick up your kid from school or something like that. And he was true to that promise. So that's why I was able to grow, here in that way. And that is not something that I've seen in other places. And then to your question, one thing that I saw over and over again, especially during COVID, we were extremely blessed. And I say that with the most respect, because I know that it's been a really hard time and continues to be a really hard time for many businesses. But again, back to those values, Jimmer never stopped or held back from giving people, to being kind. We got donation requests, he'd answer it. Sometimes he'd be ahead of people, like, okay, look, I think that we should just go and give some food to the hospital. He never advertise it or boast about it, but he just proactively go, let's go and like bring lunch to a bunch of these people. And it would just keep going. In the time where mostly the instinct would be like let's hold back on our spending, let's hold back on our giving, he went forward. And every time he'd do that, it would just come around to us, and we'd get a great catering order, or we get people would come in and decide to visit us. So it would just always work out, and that's the stuff you can't plan. But if you're going by the principle, then it just circles back to you. I remember one of the things, we hire a local florist to do our flowers for here, and the dining room was closed. And so we really didn't need the flowers. Jimmer says, call that florist and say that we're going to keep that order. I mean, they're a small, tiny business. when I called this morning on the phone, it sounded like she was expecting me to be yet another cancellation of her business. How is she going to keep it open? And when we told her, I just called her this fun. We'll figure out something to do with the flowers. We're going to keep our standing order with us. I mean, she cried on the phone.
Yeah.
And again, we made it work. We figured out something with those flowers. It doesn't matter, but it was another thing in going by the principle of being good stewards and giving. It just got right back.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of the Jimmer way.
Yeah.
And the fearless leader in the face of fear. And I mean, Jimmer, as Jimmer said to you when we were getting set to do this, is that we met when this building wasn't open, and he was actually over on the other side of the parking lot in a trailer. And it was snowing.
Oh yeah.
And I walked in there and I talked to him, and I was wearing a Jaguars hat. My Jaguars had just beaten his Bills in the playoffs. And he said, "Really? He's like, you're going to wear that hat when you come in here to see me?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh," And I was like, "Hey, listen, we won one game. It's not a big deal." And I just remember I walked out of there that day and I said, "I will work with you. We will work together." Because for over a decade, I wanted a Chick-fil-A in my hometown. I wanted to work with a company that cared about God and was unapologetic about it, as I am. And I wanted to work with Jimmer. Something inside me said, this guy's going to be one of my best friends. I want to work with the company. I want to work with him. It's too perfect. It has to work. And he stood by me, and from the beginning. And then, you go through different things with business and you grow. And we found our way to each other in an even more unique way with Lead, and then with the light between us. And then when Chick-fil-A Clay was opening, it wasn't even a question. He was like, yeah, okay, so we got Cicero, now we're going to do this. And his connection to me as a friend and in business is like that phone call to the florist of, hey, Dan, we're going to do this. We're going to make it work. We're going to find a way together. And, with or without what Jimmer's going through right now, he is the type of human being that if he was ever tired, I'd throw him on my back and carry him through a desert. And I think that a lot of you all feel that way about him too.
Definitely.
He is the leader, and there's something special about him. And you said you heard about his story. What about his story in connecting you with Chick-fil-A really moved you when you heard about Jimmer?
That night, before I had that interview, was just throwing down assumptions, because I assumed that someone that is an owner-operator of a Chick-fil-A, just probably already had some wealth, had a pretty easy life, but when you hear the things he came from and what he's overcome and what he's been through, it hasn't been easy. It's been quite challenging. It was just inspiring, and I was like, I got to meet this guy. And I kind of thought that that's what it was. It was just, I was supposed to just meet this guy. I didn't know that I'd be working for him. So just that when we met and he talked to me, I was like, just something that just goes, I'm meant to be here. Yeah. And also even then, I was quite happy as a cashier, as an order tech. I never knew that my trajectory would go any further either.
And to tell everybody that you went from taking orders to tell everyone your job now, because you and I have met off the air, so to speak. So just what you have become here.
So I am a director over both locations, and my job just switched up again because we had to make some adjustments because of Jimmer's situation.
So you having a director status of Cicero and Clay, and you still get to be there for your child.
Yes, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I don't know how other places can find it. We have a generous firm that match, it pays competitive salary, and then you just get led by this guy that just is crazy kind and totally empowers you to be your best self, and is constantly challenging you to get better and better personally and professionally.
Hope is the light that shines always. That is what is on what most people for their restaurants would put their specials or their hours of operation. You put hope is the light that shines always. And I know that different messages have gone up there at different times.
Yes.
Why is that message so important to have up here today?
Because I think people need to hear that whatever the situation that they're facing today, this is not the end of the story. This is not it. We just need a reminder, you know. And I certainly hope that someone driving by at least gets that flicker of a thought. Just like, again, this would be to me what the many little things that like Jesus was doing to me all along before I got that big revelation.
So you feel like he was putting little message boards out that you were seeing?
A message board, or a person, or just a situation that, you know, didn't work out, and then later you see how devastating you would have been.
Yeah.
You know, things like that.
Well, they say that God has 3 answers to every prayer. Yes, not right now, and no, because I have something better.
Yeah.
And so, and when you look back, he's never been wrong. I think he's got 100% completion percentage. So there's something truly remarkable about that. This conversation has been so beautiful that I want to have you back. Would you come back to do
Oh
so?
my gosh, what an honor.
No, but really, I mean, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface, and yet I feel like I can learn a lot from you, and I think people at home can too.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you.
So Julia Getman, The Light Between Us, myself, Dan Tortora. This is a special from Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media in our partnership with Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. You can come out and see Julia at both locations, and you can come out and see Jimmer and the whole family here at Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, doing things differently in a purposeful, kind, and complete way, and where faith is not only accepted, it's promoted. What's up with you, son?
It's true.
Thank you.